Read this. Analyze this text. Why did the author do this? Why did the author do that? Oh, throw in some brief grammar changes, very brief. Oh, why did the author analyze this? Write this essay. Back this up with evidence. Write this essay. Why did the author do this? Why did the author do that? Yeah. But why not just actually put your time towards a job that could actually pay like a normal job that could just literally pay you $1 million?
Oh, that requires work. Never underestimate the power of stupidity.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the iTunes Fan Podcast. As always, I'm Teddy Magger from the iTunes Fanboy.
My name is Alpha DeWolf.
And as always, we're back here again with another TIFP episode with 19 topics to cover, and sadly, Tabcat406 cannot join us because he is currently not home, so if he does join us, it'll be later on, but we're probably extremely late from what I can gather from his text.
Yep.
So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into our first topic, which is that Alpha called out the iPad challenge.
Yeah, of course. Last episode we talked about how I was starting a challenge using the iPad Pro for basically everything. I'm back on the Mac again, and that's, well, yeah, I decided to call it off because my goodness. Let's start off with a few findings that I've learned through the past week and a half or so I've been doing this for. Can I do everything I need to do to run my YouTube channel on the iPad Pro? Yes. Yes, I can. Is it optimized? Is it cohesive? No, not really. I've discovered there are so many downsides to trying to use the iPad in my line of work. I first started off by trying to edit my Hummer EV review because, oh my god, I let that sit in the pot for 5 months just waiting to edit. And so I finally got to it, but of course I had realized, oh crap, it's February 2nd. I have to do it on the iPad. Dang it. And so I did edit that whole review on the iPad Pro, but it was not fun. I could have edited that thing so much faster on the MacBook Pro. Just so much faster.
I understand.
Because unlike what most people are thinking, a lot of people are probably going to tell me, why didn't you get the Magic Keyboard case? Or why didn't you use your Magic Mouse with the iPad? That could have helped you speed it up.
Because then it's just a worse Mac.
But this is my whole point, and I've said this before. Many people don't remember this, but when the Magic Keyboard case came out, I just could not wrap my head around the concept. And that's because if you're going to attach a keyboard and a trackpad to your tablet, then you're better off just buying a laptop, because a laptop's going to have a higher quality keyboard and trackpad compared to an accessory you can get for the iPad.
Yeah, you explained that in your, I don't know if it's still up or not, but you explained that in your really old tablets make terrible laptops video.
They do. And this is why so many people are so confused as of why this thing sucks so much. iPadOS is key part of it, but the reason why they're thinking, oh, just put macOS on this thing and everything will be solved. No! They are completely missing the point. Everyone who says the iPad Pro would be actually professional if Apple puts macOS on it, no, they are completely missing the point.
Exactly. That's why putting macOS on the iPad Pro, is really bad.
Mm-hmm. And as I'm going through this, I realize, yes, software-wise, the UI and all that, it is optimized for touch, and I agree, it is very well optimized for touch, And the Apple Pencil, this was the only accessory I used with my iPad. That's it. I didn't use the mouse. I used the only accessory that actually makes sense for a tablet, a stylus. And let me tell you, it is great. This and the iPad working together, even in Final Cut, I really liked that I could actually hover this thing over and drag the playhead exactly where I needed it to. I'm surprised that I'm actually liking the hover feature for that one reason, but wow, is that really handy actually. Now, if they would make it easy to drop the playhead exactly where I hover it, that's a different story. But for the most part, the UI, it is optimized for the tablet. And the truth is, it does have potential. But again, I come back to the main issues of lack of feature sets and lack of tools to actually let me professionally make videos. They got the UI right, but there's many more optimizations that they need to make. A big part of it is just bringing feature sets over, which they did fix with Final Cut, sort of. Well, it's still missing a few things, and I do wish that they would change the layout of a few options. Like, if you want to change the color grading of your footage, it's still buried in menus that you have to hunt for. It does not have to be this complicated, though I'm finding this has become a increasingly bigger problem, even throughout iOS and basic apps. So it's not just Final Cut's problem.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, honestly, if Apple were to actually just bring a pro feature set to iPadOS and then not bury everything in so many menus, they don't have to. There is plenty of space to not just bury things in menus upon menus upon menus. It's not necessary.
No, it's not.
So that was my key frustration, just trying to access all of the tools, which they're doing a better job at bringing more pro features to Final Cut Pro. It's not perfect. The Mac app is still leagues better. But my biggest issue was just accessing those features. It took time, and then trying to adjust them was also a pain. And so that's how I found myself getting slowed down. And then, dude, the playhead. They could optimize how the playhead functions better, especially with this thing. Because my biggest issue with the playhead is if you want to bring it to a spot, you can use the hover feature to skim through your footage, but if you actually want to drop the playhead exactly where you want, you have to click the very top of the timeline. But if you just click the middle of the spot, or you just click on, say, the clip you want to split, for example, nope, it doesn't stay there. The second you remove your pencil, it goes back to where the playhead previously was resting.
That sounds like that would drive me crazy.
It drove me absolutely mad. And so, yeah, it's little optimizations like that. I see the potential. I do. But we're not there right now. And because of little details like this, I know everyone likes to complain, hey, you're making big issues, big complaints out of small, tiny details. But the thing that everybody forgets is that little details add up to something big. That's why I raise a big stink about it. That's why in the Pixel review, a lot of people complained about how I made such a big stink about the button placement. Little details like that add up. And so,
yes, they do.
Yeah, using Final Cut wasn't the worst experience, but there are still many improvements that Apple should make to it that would greatly speed up my process of using Final Cut for the iPad. Photoshop, my Photoshop work hasn't changed because, again, I use my iPad to make my thumbnails. So literally none of that has changed. But the other line item of work that I typically do where a tablet just is not that great. And again, this is where the Magic Keyboard accessory makes no sense to me still. Scripting. Now, making minor changes in a script is perfectly okay for using the on-screen keyboard or maybe some Bluetooth keyboard accessory or whatever the magic keyboard thing is.
Yeah.
But if you're writing a rough draft where you're actually doing lots and lots long typing sessions, this is where I really started to miss my laptop keyboard. In fact, I wrote a script for the Gadgets channel, not on the iPad. I actually fired up the iMac and used the keyboard on that to write the script. Because, I'm sorry, I'm not using the Magic Keyboard on this because I believe it does not make sense for this.
And it costs more than an actual iPad 10th generation.
True. I can't even find anything to justify that thing, especially considering I know I'm going to go straight back to the Mac. It's not worth that $350 or however much it costs.
$400 now.
Oh my gosh, that's a complete ripoff.
It's not as big of a ripoff as the ripoff I'll discuss in tomorrow's video about how QVC prices Apple products, but
Yeah.
that's not really related to this podcast.
So those are the big
you...
things that I've just found that where the iPad just seriously lacks. Can it edit videos? To my surprise, it's not the worst experience in the world. My biggest issue is it's time consuming and it's slow. And there are obvious optimizations and changes that Apple can make that would dramatically speed up the process of editing in Final Cut. So there's potential room there, but for scripting and writing, you just can't beat a proper physical keyboard. And again, if you're attaching a keyboard and a trackpad to your tablet, it's going to be lesser quality than a keyboard and trackpad on your laptop. So if you're a writer, a lot of writers like to say, oh, iPad's amazing for writing and scripting and such because, oh, it's light and it's portable and you can easily take it on the go so that way you're not confined to your desk or you need a lot of space to make room for your laptop. A lot of writers like to claim, oh, it's the perfect thin and light device for scripting and such. Honestly, you're better off just buying a MacBook Air.
Yep.
So those are the big things that I've learned with the iPad Pro. I'm grateful I did the challenge, but my issue is I can't be wasting as much time, especially when it comes to the video editing process. That takes hours. And again, because I want to start scripting my content again, I need a proper keyboard.
I understand.
So,
I used to write a script on my iPad now a lot more, but now I'm scripting on my Mac a lot more just because I love scripting on my Mac, to be honest.
Yeah, a proper full-size keyboard. A nice large trackpad. If you realize, oops, I made a tiny mistake a little further back in the script, I can quickly change that.
Arrow keys, too.
Oh, dude, arrow keys. That's a big thing that the on-screen keyboard lacks.
I never used to use arrow keys when scripting videos, but now, when typing stuff, but now I use arrow keys constantly. Like, that's just a weird...
Yeah, it's like if you're...
I think once I discovered, hey...
The big thing I find that's useful about them is, say, you're not exactly that enthused about how you wrote this one paragraph. Hold shift, arrow key up until you got the whole paragraph highlighted. Delete. Boom. Gone.
Wow, I didn't even... Actually, I did think you could do... No, I did think, I know you could do that, but yeah. But yeah, that's just so cool stuff. Such cool stuff, the arrow keys.
Yep. So, is the iPad Pro really pro? Well, I'll say it wants to be. It's just not there yet. And it all comes down to software. The biggest thing that we've been ranting on for so long. It has the potential. It has the hardware. But it's just not there yet. And I don't think it matters what type of tablet you get. Dude, they're just bad scripting machines. They're not great for scripting. Or long typing sessions in general. If you're doing many adjustments with various other on-screen controls, like scrolling through a timeline or changing your color grading and stuff, the interface is different, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. Different doesn't always mean bad. Sometimes it means good. But for typing, dude, you cannot beat the physical keyboard.
Nope.
So that's all I have to say on the iPad, and I am very grateful to be back on my MacBook Pro.
Woohoo! Alpha's back on his Mac now, and now we finally have normal calls again.
Yes.
Well, somewhat normal for. I guess I should mention that in case it isn't obvious by my coughing and my probably nasally sounding voice because I am sick, but otherwise this call is going just fine. But shall we talk about Alpha looking for a new server solution now?
I love how last episode we talked about 2 things related to me, and now we're talking another 2 things related to me in this episode. But I mean, when you make as many videos as one does, but you also don't delete them, because there are times where things happen on YouTube and the video files get lost or deleted, or I don't know, I've heard of a few instances where some channels get hacked and used to stream scams, and once the stream is done, they just delete everything on the channel and such. So,
yeah, I understand. I understand.
Yeah, that's why I keep backups of my content. I don't keep any of the footage except for B-roll shots that I do keep to reuse in future videos. But other than that, I pretty much keep a copy of the finished product. The thing is, though, because I film in 4K at 60 frames per second, and because I don't know how to shut up, I need a lot of storage. And my current solution right now is I have my airport time capsule. It's behind my monitors. It has a 3 terabyte hard drive. I've already used up 2 terabytes.
Oh! And when did you get that thing again? I think it was in 2023.
Yeah. So
Was it 23 or 24?
I'm sure. I think I got it summer of 23.
Oh yeah, it was that, but yeah, I haven't gotten this thing set up because my mom won't let me get it full, because it would error because my mom won't let me set this up permanently, and also I haven't figured out like how to work out all the kinks of it because my mom won't let me set it up normally.
So, yeah, it seems like every year I take up 1 terabyte of storage just from all the videos that I make. So, in theory, by the end of this year, my airport time capsule is probably going to be full. That's an issue.
That really is, because that's why I can't store any of my videos locally, because I'm sure... Now, granted, my videos are generally not as long as Alpha's, but I upload twice. I've had a schedule of uploading twice a week since August 2020 now. And I still have a lot of videos from before then, so you know.
Yeah. Meanwhile, my goal is...
We're bound to take up...
I'm trying to make 2 videos a week, too. But it's just 1 for the Gadgets channel and 1 for the Drive channel. That's my goal. Just 2 videos a week, 1 for each channel. And then if I have time for any extra, I'll make 1 for the Vlog channel. I still have another video for the Fun channel I need to edit. It's just I need to get a clip from my sister's phone before I can start. So I'm still waiting on that, actually.
I understand how irritating it is to wait for stuff like that.
Yeah. So when I have some free time, I do need to get through that. But yeah, my goal is at least 2 videos a week, one for the Gadgets and Drive channel, as those are where that's basically the heart of what I do for YouTube. I make videos about gadgets and electric vehicles. But yeah, that takes up storage, and by the end of this year, I'm probably going to be full on my servers. So I'm down to these 2 options. One, I tear apart the airport time capsule, and I replace it with a much larger hard drive that I can fit everything in. Or what would be more ideal is if I actually built a proper custom server.
To be honest, it might be time to build a proper custom server, because, I mean, you could tear apart the airport time capsule. You could do that, but it would just be that you would be... But you could possibly break it in the process, and
yeah,
with a custom server would be more accustomed to your needs, as in the name of custom.
Yeah, but here's the thing: the airport time capsule only has room for one 3.5-inch hard drive. There's a 3 terabyte 3.5-inch hard drive in there. To my knowledge, the highest capacity hard drive I could fit in there is roughly 22-ish terabytes. And again, if the math holds true, if I continue at this rate of making 2 videos a week or filling up a terabyte a year, I'm basically kicking the can down the road for an additional, I'd have 3 terabytes by the end of this year, so 19 extra years past this year, which, hey, 19 years, that's almost 2 decades. That's quite a lot of time.
And of course, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know entirely what's going to happen in 19 years. I mean, imagine if we still have this podcast in 19 years.
Yeah. So, but then also, like I mentioned, I wanted to make YouTube my full-time job. I can't do that right now, but what if that time does come in the future? If that's the case, the rate at which I'm filling that thing up is going to increase dramatically. And so I'm working on trying to find the parts to build a custom server that will hold... Let me see. I don't need to do the 22... Well, actually, no. I found on Amazon... Or was it B&H? I don't know. I found on some site that the price of 22 terabyte versus 20 terabyte hard drives, it's basically the same. So if it's the same, then go for the higher capacity one. That just makes more sense. So let me see. Because motherboards are hard to find, you could get a server. I could get a server grade motherboard, but dude, that's gonna be so freaking expensive compared if I just go for a regular consumer grade motherboard. But most of them that I can find typically have 6 SATA ports, which means I can use up to 6 hard drives. So I can't do
and
the
22 times 6, that is 132.
Yeah. So that's basically 132 terabytes. In theory,
I think
that should last. I think that should last the lifetime of myself.
The problem is that hard drives are not known for living that long.
Well, if I configure it in a RAID format, then if one hard drive dies, I can replace it, and then it'll automatically rebuild the rest of my data that was deleted. Yeah.
Well, that would help.
Yeah, that's why RAID storage is a thing. And that is exactly how I'd configure it. So that way, hard drive dies because it's bound to happen. We'll just replace it, have the RAID rebuild the rest of the image, and then we're all set to go.
Let me guess. This server is going to cost a pretty penny.
I priced it out, and because it would obviously be a custom computer, as much as I hate the platform, but also I have another excuse that I would like to have a decent SolidWorks machine. I mean, my XPS can run it relatively okay, but there's certain functions of SolidWorks that I can't do just because I am slightly hardware limited. My RTX 3050, it's almost at 100% load if I try to simulate any cam. So, can it do it? Yes, but I'm near 100% load. And if I'm trying to look at various factors like, I don't know, heat generation or such and such like that, it's not going to handle it. So I'd like to also make room in that to have a decent SolidWorks rig. That'd be nice, especially because I'm working on a few engineering projects for my channels. And so that means it's going to have some more expensive components as well, aside from just hard drives.
And it's going to have to run Windows.
I looked at the total bill for everything. If we ignore the hard drives, it's at least $1,500 for a decent computer that'll run SolidWorks. And, well, actually, no, that's ignoring the dedicated GPU I'd have to get for it. And that's just because the GPU market right now is in a stupidly weird spot. So it'll probably be closer to $2,000. But then once you add the hard drive, it's like $400 for those high capacity drives.
A piece?
Yeah, a piece. So 400 times 6, that's $2,400.
So in other words, you're looking at a $4,400 computer.
Yeah.
Now, I'm no expert, but I thought you didn't have that. I'm pretty sure you don't have that kind of dough.
I don't.
I also don't have that kind of dough.
So I'm not entirely sure what I'm gonna do just yet for my storage situation. I have to like the end of this year to figure that out. But it's not too high on the priority list right now. The two items that are high on the priority list right now are getting Stardust paid off and looking for a house outside of Michigan.
Yeah, I would say prioritize that right now.
But by the end of the year, I'm probably going to have to come up with some janky solution, like finding hard drives here and there just to back up all the data to in the meantime until I can build the custom server and such. Because, I mean, external hard drives like... here it is. External hard drives like these, they work. This is a 2 terabyte hard drive, for example. They work, but keeping them tidy is not going to be easy, especially if you're going to be moving around. Because, again, I don't plan on living in this attic forever. I'm trying to get out of it. It's just, my God, is the housing market such a mess. And so, yeah, that's another issue that I need to address at some point.
At least you're not one of the 25 to 34-year-olds that's living at home, which that number is sadly increasing.
Well, a lot of it is due to, dude, nobody can afford housing or rent.
And furthermore, especially because colleges are spitting out fake degrees that don't guarantee jobs as a result.
Yeah, it's another.
That's the primary reason, but yeah.
And then it also tricks them into wasting
So
so much
much
money
like-
going into debt and such.
Oh my gosh, yes. Like, I know this is a side tangent, but I guess this is one more side tangent we can go into before we go into our next topic, but or else back into the server topic. But my guidance counselor actually tried to convince me to go to college to become an engineer. And also take AP classes, or more AP classes, because I did actually sign up for AP Computer Science next year, but...
The thing is, there are some pros to going to college, and I'm not necessarily saying it's the right fit for you. I do personally think you'd make a great engineer, if I'm being honest. But...
Yeah, I know it could. I mean, I know college. It's just that college is not for every. It's just that college right now. It's like it doesn't even matter if you go to college anymore, since literally everybody goes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, especially up where I'm at, like, Houghton, Michigan is famous for Michigan Tech University. It's a college town. And while it is a very, very popular choice for engineering students to attend, it's becoming a little less focused in terms of, well, actually getting students educated. And there's so many programs outside of college that they offer. A lot of it is a big waste of money.
Oh, yes.
So it's like, it's hard for me to speak for them because, I mean, I know Michigan Tech is very respected in terms of it's one of the most popular choices for engineering students to attend. But my goodness, are the kids that are the people that they're spitting out. First up, a lot of the instructors there, pretty much most of the good ones have left, and now you're left with just idiots who don't know much.
That's not good.
And then a lot of them too are, I'm not trying to be offensive here, but a lot of them are foreigners with foreign accents that make it difficult to understand. So, yeah, there's that. I don't know. What I'm basically trying to say is they are a lot less effective at turning out properly educated students.
That to be honest, that's becoming more of an issue. Like even with my school, since I feel that I do. Since I generally know this is crazy, but I feel like I generally do a lot less work than I did in elementary school. And everybody says that school is going to get harder as you go on, but in reality, I mean, it sort of has, but it also hasn't. Because back when I was in elementary school, we had to work under very strict timetable restrictions, and I would oftentimes have to do homework until every day after school until around 4, except for Fridays. However, nowadays, it's not that often that I come home with homework anymore.
Really? You actually managed to get it done in class?
Yeah, I managed to get it done in my class or else other classes.
Oh, that was impossible for me. That was with all the class interruptions, and I can't really work that well in a noisy environment. So
neither can I.
Yeah, with all of that stuff, and again, the public school that I attended, basically nobody prioritized the education there. It was nothing but a giant popularity contest.
Oh yes.
So
at my school, and funny enough, one thing that drove me nuts is that, like in my 8th and 10th grade English classes, or actually, no, wait, in my 8th grade class, we actually got started pretty quickly, but in my 10th grade English class, what drove me nuts is that my teacher claimed that we weren't ready to write essays yet for like the first, I would say a little over half of the class. We didn't even write a single essay in there. Mind you, we rewrote like lots of essays. Mind you, I'm in 10th grade, and obviously, if you're in 10th grade, you probably have all sorts of experience writing essays from other English classes. And did I forget to mention that this is Honors English 10? That even in my freshman Honors English class, we did essays like pretty close, like almost immediately.
With how English classes are being handled today, I'd rather just get rid of them. It's like, no, you should actually teach these students something, but they're not. I feel like they're now here just for filler because nobody's learning anything in those classes. I hadn't learned a single thing in English since 6th grade.
Oh my gosh, me too. Like, I haven't learned anything. Like, what I hate is that English teachers are always seem to be stuck up and say, no, this is beneficial to your education, even though in reality, English class is one of the stupidest classes I've ever taken.
The thing is, it should be beneficial as you progress even past 6th grade. It should be. The problem is, it's not. In its current state, it's not beneficial.
English classes, at least in my state, except for when I was in 7th grade, because I was in a different school district that actually taught English better, but basically, ever since like 4th or 5th grade, English class has always been this. Read this. Analyze this text. Why did the author do this? Why did the author do that? Oh, throw in some like brief grammar changes, like very brief. Oh, why did the author analyze this? Write this essay. Back this up with evidence. Write this essay. Why did the author do this? Why did the author do that? Yeah. Like, it's just that over and over and over and over again. Yeah.
I'm very dissatisfied with a lot of how public schooling is handled. For one, I've mentioned my traumatization from it last year.
Yeah.
But even outside of that, the education itself is so bad. My mom is back in the public schooling system right now as a teacher, and like almost every conversation at dinner starts with her ranting about how bad public education is today.
Let me guess. She has to teach to a very controlling curriculum.
Well, technically, no, she doesn't. In fact, the school that she teaches, they didn't even give her a curriculum.
Wow.
So, but like the curriculums that she has to select from that would be funded by the public education system, hot garbage. And then also it doesn't help that she's got a really massive problem student in one of her classes, and that's what she rants about most of the time. But no, the education there is so bad.
I know, I'm in public school, and it's such a bad, and it's generally like one of the worst ways to get educated. In fact, I highly doubt I'm gonna send my kids to public school when I grow up.
Oh, dude, if it came down to it, I would. I mean, my dream job is to become a YouTuber. In that case, it's pretty much a stay-at-home job. So if I had kids, I would not mind staying at home and teaching them every math and English and all the various other classes that are necessary for them to know. And I would be in charge of the curriculum and such, and not leave it up to the government or the public schooling system. It's just...
I would most likely send my kids to private school just because, again, I don't necessarily want to do YouTube as with the job, my full-time job for the rest of my life, just because I just don't, just because, I mean, it's just not, I don't know, it's just not exactly that satisfying, if you know what I mean.
It's not fun. I get it. Although, if I'm being honest, I don't think parents spend enough time with their kids these days.
I understand.
That's something I wouldn't mind. I would love to spend time with my kids if I had any.
So would
I
I.
mean, not to helicopter parent them or anything, but just time is precious, especially when it comes to time with your family. And I'd be one of those people who wants to spend every minute with them possible. It's often why, like, I often take many road trips to Wisconsin, but the reason why I don't film them most of the time is because I'm with my family and I want to spend time with them.
I
And
understand.
while my cousins down in Wisconsin, they love filming videos with me. It's a fun activity. But a big reason why I'll say no every now and then is because that means I have to spend time away from them sorting through the footage, getting it edited and such, when that's not what I want to do. I want to spend time with my family.
I
And
understand.
so, anywho, we went so far off topic about that.
Shall I move on to our third topic?
Yes, this is a big one.
So Tim Cook has teased that Apple is going to launch something on February 19th.
Any guesses as of what it could be?
I mean, also, a lot of people are saying like a new iPhone SE or a new AirTag or something, but to be honest, I don't even know what to expect because, I mean, it's February and Apple, I'm pretty sure hasn't had a February event since 2006.
Yeah, they've had they've been doing this really just to screw with us. Last time it was an April event, then it was a May event, and now a February. It's like we've grown so accustomed to expecting them to do it in March. I think they're doing this just to troll us.
Yeah, I think they are.
So,
I mean, to be fair, this time of year is also so boring that, I mean, I get why Apple would want to do it since,
yeah.
you know, one of the big reasons why I used to hate this winter of our discontent, as William Shakespeare calls it, in one of his plays, is because actually, let me look up what play that was, but basically, Apple doesn't really do a whole lot, and you can't go outside, so therefore...
Yeah, dude, it is so hard to come up
Oh,
with.
Richard the Third.
Yeah, it is so hard to come up with gadgets video ideas because part of it is I've trapped myself into talking so much about Apple, and that's because, well, since Android had stopped trying, it seemed like Apple was the only one left to talk about. But now they stop. Honestly, I kind of think they stopped trying too, or maybe not that. It's just
Yeah,
they put their
the-
focus in such a bad place that now there's nothing to talk about. Android hasn't been doing anything interesting because they gave up a long time ago. Now Apple's in that same boat because they're heavily focused on Apple BS and not their product lineup. So it's like, what is there to talk about? This has become so problematic. Even Tailosive Tech finally had to pivot.
I mean, it depends. I mean, it kind of depends to be. I mean, I can see why. The only reason why I'm still making videos is because I own way too many Apple products. So therefore, there's always something. But also, even then, it's just that. But I still have a lot of trouble, and there's also just like the most random things that I find to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I tried making a retrospective on the Magic Mouse and the Mighty Mouse. That video did not do as well as I was hoping.
Yeah, and I mean, I get it but I honestly want to do a Mighty Mouse video too. But one Apple accessory I really want to do a retrospective on this year is, I don't have one yet, but I want to do one on Apple's battery charger. Yes, I know.
So
I also want to do other retrospectives like on iPod plus car, and this is the big one I've been wanting to do for quite a while is Nike plus iPod.
oh yeah, I remember that integration. It's just, dude, what? Because I don't usually focus on older tech that much. Dude, what is there to talk about? Because again, nothing's exciting.
Even
going
with older
on,
tech,
nothing's going on that's exciting in the Android space or Apple space. I mean, when it comes time to build the server, sure, I'll build the custom PC myself, but even in PC land, dude, all of that is dated stuff. It's just iteration upon iteration of the same ancient technology.
And furthermore, there's some other issues too. Like, I mean, old tech only goes so far.
Yeah. So I am just constantly running out of ideas of what to talk about on the Gadgets channel. And if I come up with something, or I don't know, I'll find something in the news that I'll just quickly grasp and try to make a video of, but I have to make sure I get my timing right, otherwise it won't be relevant and it'll perform so terribly. Dude, it's hard.
I understand. For a lot of times, I don't talk about tech news just because it can get outdated so quickly.
Meanwhile, the Drive channel, long list of ideas, especially when I look at my reminders app for all the ideas. Most of them have a red dot on them.
That means you haven't done
No, actually, here, I'll give you context if I can find the reminders app on my iPad. Where are you? Right there. Reminders, YouTube. So here's my list. I actually put a dot on them corresponding to the channel color.
Oh.
So yeah, like blue is for gadgets, red's for drive. You notice there's a lot more reds than blues. And a lot of the blue stuff is old topics that aren't very much relevant today, and I'm kind of storing them as backup for something, maybe, if the time becomes relevant. But yeah, that's how I keep my ideas listed. I just write them down the reminders app, and once the idea is done, I just check it off and it disappears. Great way to
I
manage
see.
those. So
that's actually really cool. But do you have anything more to say about Apple's launch, or shall I move on to something that's actually kind of cool? Alright, I mean, it's not that cool, but it's kind of fascinating.
I mean, the big thing that everyone's probably expecting from this February event is iPhone SE and it getting a massive redesign, I guess. I don't know why some people are saying that, oh, it's going to feature Apple's brand new modem or something. It's like, wouldn't you say a brand new technology like that for your higher end phones first?
Yeah, that is actually really very weird. And furthermore, I mean, another weird, and here's another fact. Here's another news topic that actually makes me think this is a Mac event, given that, again, even when Apple did a February event in 06, that was when they released the first Intel Mac Mini, and that is when they released the failed iPod Hi-Fi dock. So if we're getting anything, it might be like maybe the new HomePod. But also, Apple has began selling refurbished M4 Macs.
My goodness, that is crazy that they're already starting to do it right now.
So if they're starting to sell refurbished M4 Macs, then maybe.
Dude,
I mean, I know it's a little soon.
That
but
M4 Mac Mini was already such a steal before certified refurbished, and now that you can get them certified refurbished for about $500.
Let me see how much they are certified.
It's like $510.
So $500 for a brand new Mac? Are you kidding me?
I mean, they're gonna say it's Oh, it's refurbished and such, though. Come on, guys. We know how Apple handles certified refurbished. They basically take apart the computer and put brand new components in it, and it's basically a new product. It's just shipped in a cheaper box. So, my goodness, $500 for a basically brand new computer, as powerful as the Mac Mini is, in as tiny form factor as the Mac Mini is.
That's a steal.
Dude, how do you argue that?
You don't.
That's just insane.
All right, do you have anything more to say about that, or shall we move on to our next? I don't know what to call this topic.
A topic I typically hate discussing.
Yeah, so basically, this is not one that I want to go into very much, but basically, because this month is February, Apple has launched a new Unity Apple Watch band and face.
Yeah, the reason
Yep,
I don't
that's
like
out
talking.
now.
Yeah, the reason I don't like talking about it is because, in my opinion, it's actually a part of the problem that it's trying to.
Oh yes,
solve.
it is. And furthermore, this contradicts what Apple did, which is a few something else that Apple did, which is a few topics down. But shall we talk about what the UK is doing now?
Joining the EU and being complete idiots.
Oh no, they're not joining the EU. They're forcing Apple to build a backdoor just like the EU.
Yeah, they're.
Which, let me see. Didn't Apple lock the FBI out of iOS back in 2015 anyway?
I'm hoping Tim puts his foot down and says, no, if this is the case, then we won't sell our stuff.
I really want Tim to start putting his foot down on this stuff, because this is getting
It's
if
too
the UK
far out of
does it,
hand.
then other governments are going to start doing this too.
This has gotten too far out of
the U-
hand. Like John Prosser mentioned in his documentary about the whole USB-C and the EU thing. Dude, as much as we did want USB-C, he was right about Apple being on a very slippery slope. And he gave the mouse a cookie. But now the mouse is asking for more than a cookie. And that mouse told all of his buddies, hey, this guy, he'll give you a cookie and more. He'll give you basically anything. This has gotten too far out of hand.
I know. Now, I don't know if we should get into this consequence of the EU getting involved in Apple's regulations, but shall we talk about this next topic?
Yeah, apparently there's ways to put corn apps on your iPhone now.
Yep. So, in other words, let's get into this.
Oh my gosh.
Not too deeply, of course.
Yeah.
So, Hot Tub is the first iOS pornography app that is available on a third-party app store called AltStore Pal in the EU, of course. So, in other words, because the EU said that Apple had to allow sideloading, now you can install pornography on your apps on your iPhone.
This makes me...
That's great. And
Yeah.
furthermore, because Apple has to check all apps for malware, as a result, Hot Tub claimed that they were the first Apple-approved porn app. And then Apple had to come out and say that, no, we did not approve of this.
This makes me so worried for teens under the age of 18. for very obvious reasons, because,
Yeah.
well, this is outside of the App Store, but something that I discovered when I was under the age of 18, back when I had my iPod Touch in the early years, YouTube is,
Yeah.
to download it, it's technically rated for, you have to be 17 and up to download YouTube.
Oh yeah.
Well, guess what I did under the age of 17?
You download it.
All they did to attempt to stop me was say, "Hey, you're not 17 yet. Are you sure you want to download this?" And I just tap, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure I want to download YouTube." And it's like, "Okay." Started downloading YouTube. My guess is the reason why it did that was because, again, YouTube doesn't recommend the app for a lot of teenagers due to, well, you're going to find a lot more content with swears and various other adult theme, maybe not heavy adult theme, but slight lenience towards adult themes and such, which is why the main YouTube app is not completely recommended for teens under the age of 18, which is probably why they still recommend you use YouTube Kids. That's approved for everyone under the age of 18 and such, which we both know. We all know it does a terrible job at even
YouTube
that.
Kids is worse.
Yeah, it's pretty bad at actually managing that. So
Excuse me?
that, and I think everyone has a reasonable understanding. Every teenager that probably has a YouTube account. I wonder how many teens watch this show, or all of our content in general. I know quite a few do, but
I'm 16 and I run the show.
yeah. So I'm wondering if that's the reason why they were so non-enforcing on that, but there are very obvious many apps that they should not allow on their devices for the sake of protecting teens. And yet, well, now that it's out of their control completely, dude, it's a bad situation.
Yeah, for one of my friends actually used to be, I don't know if he's watching his podcast or not, but one of my friends actually used to be addicted to porn.
It's a common problem amongst teenagers.
And mind you, this is just my website. And I mean, again, another problem is that it's easy to stumble across it too, even when you're not trying. Like,
Yeah.
I will admit that I have seen pornography at the age of 14.
Wow, that's even younger than the first time I saw it.
How old were you when you first saw it?
Hmm. It was in high school. I know that, and it was due to an art piece. It was the Vitruvian Man art piece.
Oh well, I was talking like actual photographs, like not. Yeah, no, I saw the Vitruvian Man when I was 13.
Oh, that. Well, I didn't even see that till like
No, I'm talking
It's either 15 or 16.
like when you saw like actual like images.
No, when I saw the Vitruvian Man, I didn't see like actual images due
Yeah.
to advertisements until later. But still, it's just. The fact that you were exposed to it that young is concerning to me.
I mean, I know. I mean, I don't. I mean, I mean, I know. I know now not to. I mean, I know now that it's not really exciting. But yeah.
Yeah, there's the beauty of the option of having a more secure platform that doesn't enable this type of stuff to happen, that sadly is now gone.
And furthermore, I mean, let's face it, porn is not good for anyone.
No.
So therefore, it's perfectly a good reason to ban it, and yet Apple, can't do it, but... Do you have anything more to say about that, or shall I move on to how Apple is contradicting the Unity
Well,
band?
I'd say at this point we should probably now mark the episode explicit.
Alright, yeah, well, we're gonna have to, especially with this next topic, but... We're not necessarily quite as bad, but... So let me word this without getting too political. This is how I'm going to word this without getting too political. So the Gulf of Mexico is now the Gulf of America. Apple and Google Maps have now officially reflected this change, even though we know they don't like it.
I can see both sides.
Or actually,
to naming it the Gulf of America.
Actually, you have to zoom in a little bit more on Apple Maps to see it.
I know.
Yeah,
I found that out. I can see both sides as of why it should be called the Gulf of America versus the Gulf of Mexico, and why it shouldn't be. Because for one, a lot of people are thinking, oh, the U.S. is taking over everything. Guys, we're the U.S. America is much broader from the U.S.
Yes.
For one, America is technically a combination of North and South America.
That's true.
Is it not?
That's true, and furthermore, admitting it, the Gulf of America does touch more of the United States than it does Mexico, and even when it did. And even back in the historic days, back when Texas was part of Mexico, it still touched more of, still more of the United States. And then even before Mexico existed, then technically touched all the Spanish colonies. But yeah.
So, the reason why I can understand why it is okay to rename it to the Gulf of America is because the U.S. is not America. Well, we're only a section of America. Canadians, well, the thing is, the reason why a lot of people in the U.S. refer to ourselves as Americans is because the full name of this country is the United States of America. And because America is in it, what would you call us? What would we call ourselves if America was not in our name?
I'm a United Statesian.
Yeah,
that sounds natural. Not.
Because there's not really a good name for us if we were to exclude America from it. That's why we call ourselves Americans. But the truth is, it's actually a lot broader than that. Because Canada is a country in North America and Mexico, and then we also have the countries in South America. Aren't we all technically Americans?
Yeah.
So there's that perspective, which it does make sense to me. But an issue that I totally understand about why, or about how, if it should be okay to rename it like this, is one man decided it. That's the one thing that I can understand why many people can be upset by this. And it's just one man decided it.
To be fair, technically it wasn't just one man, because
it pretty much was.
Apple and Google Maps, they didn't have to put it on the maps though. They just did it anyway.
Yeah, you can tell that Tim and all the other... You can tell Tim is not in favor of this, but I have a feeling that he's trying to He's trying to rope in some favor with the president against his will.
I understand. I mean, you know that they're doing that because, I mean, look at Apple. Like, they do not care about the U.S.'s new government.
Albeit, Tim donated how much, $1 million to Trump for the inauguration and such. I don't understand why he has to be politically involved. I don't understand why all of these big guys have to be politically involved.
No, for most of the time, like tech CEOs did not used to be that public.
No.
Like, tech CEOs are now almost the biggest celebrities in the world.
Effectively, it's just, why do you have to be friends with the president?
You don't.
I mean, is Apple worried about potential lawsuits? Or a big thing I'm hearing is potential tariffs against China and, well, where are our iPhones made? And a lot of our other Apple products?
And so they're of course worried about that, and how dare they pay to build plants in America and the United States?
Yeah, I've been trying to avoid politics in my videos for quite a long time, though I feel like since NEVI, the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Bill, because that's on hold right now, and because I talk so much about charging infrastructure, I feel like I'm going to have to make a video on that. Despite I'm trying to avoid politics as much as possible because it's truly a pointless war to get into. It is. But it's just, why does politics have to be in everything? My number one complaint about electric vehicles is just how political of a topic they are. And I hate it.
I understand.
It is ruining the reputation of these amazing vehicles. And I hate that politics is involved with it. It really is that infuriating. The second anything gets twined into politics, it's now, because politics is already a black and white, good versus evil war, especially in today's day and age. My goodness, is it really annoying when everything gets tied to politics, like electric vehicles. I would not be shocked if Apple kind of starts getting in that, considering what Tim Cook's been doing as of recent, and even in past decisions. We know that
Apple's already gotten political.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. Just stay out of it.
Apple never got political under Steve Jobs, under any of their previous CEOs,
except Tim Cook. So, yeah, a big thing that Tesla's going under is the scrutiny of, Elon's been helping Trump so much. And because of that reputation, I at least get a laugh out of it. So many people have put these stickers on the back of their Tesla saying, "I bought this before I knew Elon was crazy." And I always laugh at the picture saying, okay, so you're basically telling me you're a complete idiot because, newsflash, Elon has always been crazy.
Yeah.
So every time I see those stickers, I always go, well, okay, thanks for telling me you're a complete stupid idiot for not noticing the obvious. But
I know.
like
a lot of people.
Yeah, Tesla's under so much scrutiny right now because Elon is so heavily tied to politics.
And furthermore, another big issue is that a lot of people suddenly complain, "Oh no, now Elon Musk is involved. He's got so much money, he can do whatever he wants." Oh my god. You guys fail to understand that, like, literally all the other big tech companies and Bill Gates, like, you're not worried about the, like, oh no, they're not to worry.
Yeah, it's politics is such
Especially
a mess.
Bill Gates, who has never, especially with Bill Gates, who has literally never actually invented anything useful.
No.
Except for Flight Simulator. I will give Microsoft credit for that.
Yeah, but I mean,
well, the old Flight Simulator.
But yeah, the Gulf of America thing, I can see both sides, because
yeah, I can.
It's just, why does everything have to be tied to politics now? It's just
well,
the only reason
shall I move on to our next topic?
The only reason
isn't?
I've cared about politics, and again, I've kept mine basically off the internet because again, it's a black and white war that nobody ever wins. But like in my personal life, the only reason I've gotten involved was for the past 4 years. I was so heavily affected. I'm so poor now. My family's so poor now. That's the only reason I've gotten into politics. But now I want out. It's not a fun place to be in. And it's just a position you're always going to lose. So I want out of it. I do. It's just, man, do people can be so infuriating. And this is just one of the many examples. It's a black and white war that nobody wins. Everybody loses. It's just a big waste of time. So, no more politics talk, please. What's next on the docket?
The Samsung Galaxy S24 was the 7th best-selling phone in 2024.
I mean, good for Samsung.
Good for Samsung. Their iPhone knockoff is selling.
Yeah.
Do we need to move on to our next topic?
If I had to guess, it's an iPhone's probably in the top, like, 1 or something.
Yeah,
of course.
yeah, the iPhone is.
Who would have thought? No, of course the knockoff is not going to perform as well as the actual product.
Yeah. Almost as if consumers can identify knockoffs.
Yeah. I mean, they've been making knockoffs for so many years, and by this point, a lot of people's contracts had ended with their past knockoffs, so I guess it was time for a big upgrade for the Samsung user side. I mean, I should know this. My sister was one of them. But still, Samsung, you keep digging your hole deeper. That's all I can say about it. You're just digging your hole deeper.
And Asus is actually doing something kind of original for once.
What's that?
So Asus has just announced the Asus Zenfone 12 Ultra, which is their flagship phone. But guess what it has? Which again is them actually trying to be unique for once.
A headphone jack.
Yes, you heard me. It is a modern smartphone in 2024 with a headphone jack.
Yep.
I will admit, wireless headphones do have their advantages. I'm not saying they don't. But there are also many advantages to wired headphones too.
Yeah,
like for example,
the big community group that I see buying this phone are those who care so much about lossless audio and putting it in their pockets.
And furthermore, another great benefit to a headphone jack is that headphone jacks are, for the most part, like now, not so much now, but there used to be a universal standard. Like every device that could play audio had one.
Well, I mean, But iPhones and Androids are now using the same universal standard.
I mean, they are technically using the same universal standard, but it's just that I'm not. It's not the feature so much that's impressive, but it's that Asus is actually trying to do something original.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not complaining. Although I'm not sure why you have the line at the end of not selling in US.
Well, that's because Asus is not selling it in the United States.
I mean, for the most part, most people have moved on from lack of headphone jacks on their phones.
They have.
Most of us have just moved on to wireless headphone solutions or wireless earbud solutions.
Yeah.
And, like, the only people who would care about such a thing are just those who want lossless audio in their pockets and not needing an adapter.
That's again why I said that it's not so much the feature itself that's interesting, but rather that at least somebody's trying to actually do something different.
Yeah, I'll give them credit for that. Because, again, I'm an audiophile. I do care about sound quality, but would I buy the phone for that feature specifically? No, not really. You'd have to be... I care more about than just audio. Like, I film with my phone, and that's a big emphasis I put on it. You'd have to be like, audio and music is your life to care about needing that port integrated into your phone. And again, another thing that kind of makes the audience for that smaller is the number one tool for making music, or that artists or people who are enthusiastic about music, the number one tool that's used to make it is an Apple product of some sort.
Yep.
Most of the music that you listen to is produced by Mac.
Sure is.
Can you do it on PC? Yeah, you can. I've heard of some people that you can produce music on PC. In fact, the standalone outro song that I use on my Drive channel every now and again, I know the artist, not personally, but I know that the artist that made that song uses PC to make it, and it's a pretty good song. But he's in the minority. The number one tool for making music production, and it is for very good reason, it's a Mac.
Yep.
So, and last I checked...
remember back when I was...
Yeah, one more thing. Last I checked, Macs and Android phones don't get along the best.
No, they don't. And remember that friend that I was telling you about who listens to this podcast who was thinking about getting a PC for music production?
Don't tell me he got it.
No, he's changed his mind.
Okay, good. Because, yeah, you're going to find anything music related. Again, can you do it on PC? Yes. But your options to do it on PC
it's like doing it on
so
iPadOS.
Yeah, it's like me trying to edit videos on the iPad. Can it be done? I mean, technically, yeah. But your professional options are extremely limited.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But, shall we move on to something very, very, very... I don't know if you call it professional, but you want to move on to something that Meta did?
Well, usually everything they do is pretty bad, so... What did they screw up this time?
How do you know they screwed up?
Because when does Meta ever get anything right?
Okay, yeah, they did screw up this time again. I know, big shock, but Meta used a corporate laptop to pirate 80 terabytes worth of books for their AI to train it.
I mean, a lot of people like myself question the ethics about using AI, and I mean, this is a good reason to question the ethics of it.
It's like it's like how Spotify managed to convince record labels to let them to agree to let them use Spotify, but via how Spotify had to pirate $1 million worth of music.
On one hand, it really frustrates me that there are people like you and I who can see through the BS and see the problems with this technology and then look at the other side and just see how blind and oblivious they are to this.
I know, for one of my teachers is actually helped train Apple Intelligence.
Yeah, and then of course, because this is Meta doing it, why do so many people choose to be so blind to how they handle your data?
I know, for like, there's literally, like, on my Instagram, there's literally 0 pictures of my face. And you want to know why?
Because they're so bad at managing data.
Yeah, and I don't want them to have photos of my face on my own Instagram.
The thing is, though, they're going to find it through other means, not just through Instagram.
Yeah, like there are photos. Like, my parents and my relatives do have pictures of me on their Facebook pages. So.
Well, even then, I do know that Meta will look to outside sources to try to find information about people who don't use their platform.
Yeah, I know they do that too.
And what baffles me is people choose to be oblivious to this. And I don't understand why we as a society have agreed that, oh, this is fine. Yeah, this is fine, despite that many people have not given consent to this. I don't own or use any of Meta's services. Not a single one. And I know they have my data somewhere. I did not consent to it. But for some reason, we as a society have agreed this is fine. And I hate that.
They should really outlaw this whole data collection.
Yeah, we have, if I recall, what's one of those amendments? I believe it's the 4th one, if I recall. Right to privacy.
Oh, yeah.
Because I have not...
It's technically the right to...
I have not given consent.
It's not technically...
So they should have no right to look up anything about me.
So I guess I should explain, like, there's a brief asterisk, which is that the 4th Amendment only protects people from the way the 4th Amendment basically says that soldiers cannot stay in soldiers or other government employees can't be forced to stay in your house during peacetime, because that was a massive issue during the Quartering Act, which is one of the main reasons why the American Revolution started.
Yep.
And so as a result, it's basically limits you to that. So therefore, Meta can legally do that.
I wouldn't say it's just that, because like it's not just for officers to abide by, it's also the general public and corporations.
I mean, I don't know if the amendment's for that, but yeah, the debate for the most part is that.
It's like civilians can be charged for violating the 4th Amendment.
Oh yeah, that's right, they can.
So yeah, why should it be no different for corporations? Why should corporations have the right to disrespect that?
I don't know.
That's what baffles me. That for some reason we as a society have agreed this is okay. It's not okay.
No, it's not.
So. Anywho, Something about Amazon and a product event?
So Amazon has announced a product event for February 26th.
Let me guess. Cheap bad tablet. Cheap crappy tablet.
New AI garbage.
That too.
In fact, it probably will involve AI, knowing Amazon.
Yeah. I just hate, no matter where I go. In fact, it's even on YouTube now. They just give you pop-ups about, hey, I'm an AI assistant that will help you with anything you ask. Want to try me out? Let me give you a hint if you haven't figured it out yet, tech corporations. This episode is already explicit, very good so I'm going to do it anyways.
I don't know if I'll have to censor that in the video version or not.
Probably.
Yeah.
For audio listeners, I gave the middle finger again. It's like, no, I have no use for your useless garbage.
And furthermore, this is kind of an unrelated topic, but YouTube ads, what drives me nuts about them is that YouTube ads, like if you're watching a video in full screen, apparently now YouTube ads can literally take you out of full screen to go to the page where you can download the app for whatever they're advertising. Like I know FanDuel ads do that now, which again, FanDuel should not be legal anywhere.
I don't even know what that is.
Gambling.
I don't have.
But... It's gambling.
Oh.
It's a sports gambling app.
I hate that I get those a lot too. I mean, not on YouTube because I pay for premium, but like, I listen to my podcast on Apple Podcasts, and I get so many gambling ads. It's like,
gambling should be illegal everywhere.
I mean, hey, I'll participate in 50-50 lotteries if it's for a good cause. But not for the sole purpose of, oh, I might get a jackpot. Because if I'm being honest, I have participated in 50-50 lotteries where half of the money goes to charity. It's for a good cause. That's what I believe in. And if I get a benefit out of it, well, hey, that's nice. But no, the point is to get the jackpot and walk away with all the cash.
Which you're not going to get, mind you.
Well, you could technically get it. It's just your chances are extremely low.
Because they do literally have it rigged against the players.
Yep. Well, except the tickets that you buy, the scratch tickets you buy from the gas station, that nobody can control, to be honest.
Yeah, technically those not really anybody can control, but otherwise, like, I just think that, but a lot of people complain about how gambling, whenever I mention the idea of banning gambling, a lot of people say, well, gambling will go underground. And I'm like, yeah, it'll go underground. You won't be able to go download gambling apps easily on your phone.
Yeah, it's one of those things like with problems with alcohol and drugs and such. It's another one of those addictions that a lot of people have a hard time breaking. Because they're so focused on the potential reward that it just blinds them. And as a result, they end up losing so much money, and it's really up to them to realize it. We can try to point it out to them as much as we want, but they're so addicted on that potential cash prize that they'd rather remain blind and still say, hey, I mean, yeah, the chances are low, but the point is it's still a possibility. I could walk away with $1 million.
But why not just actually put your time towards a job that could actually pay, like a normal job that could just literally pay you $1 million? Oh,
but that requires work.
Yeah, it requires actual work.
That's too much to ask these days. Asking people to work is so difficult to do nowadays. But yeah, we're off topic again.
All right, shall I move on to our next topic, which is once again political, but you know.
My goodness.
So DeepSeek, well, China's government, I'm sure, was already involved in DeepSeek from the very beginning, but the DeepSeek founder has now been appointed by the Chinese Communist Party as the head of China's AI.
Oh, wow. Big shocker.
Everything's going to be totally... I'm not worried. But the point I was trying to make is that, like, yeah, I'm not worried. Yeah, this isn't a big concern that China, that DeepSeek, which has already been accused of piracy, is now going to be running China. I'm not worried at all. I'm obviously being sarcastic.
I mean, I don't know whether to be or not, because again, we both know that AI is pointless as is, but at the same time, never underestimate the power of stupidity. Never underestimate.
Why do you think e-cigarettes are so are so popular?
Same reason. Never underestimate the power of stupidity. So, that's that.
All right, shall we talk about shall we move on to our next topic about how Sonos is laying off 200 more employees?
They must have some real corporate mismanagement going on.
They really do.
The entire board was fired, and now we got layoffs happening. I don't have too much to commentate on because I don't really follow Sonos closely at all. But
I mean, that's more of a Tabby thing, which is, again, why... Well, one of these topics we're going to actually have to put on hold because Tabby's not here.
Yeah. So, yeah, they must have some real corporate mismanagement going on.
Really? But shall I move on to some even more shocking corporate mismanagement? Not really. That was worded badly, but shall I move on to some more corporate mismanagement?
How did Spotify do it?
So Spotify has made their first full year of profit, and yes, since they haven't made a full year of profit since 2008, since when they opened, but yeah, they decided that, but they're now rumored to launch a more premium tier with more features.
So did they properly pay their artists this time?
No. I don't think so.
That's another blind thing that drives me nuts. Spotify, a lot of people don't know this, but Spotify has had a very bad history of paying royalties. Which, as a musician,
yes, that drives me nuts.
Issue with this.
Yeah, and I need and one of these days I'm gonna have to sign up for Apple Music. But yeah, that would be. But yeah, but Spotify pays their artists like crap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Spotify was complaining, "Oh, Apple's taking too much of our profits with the 30% tax." It's like, we know that you're not going to use that money to pay back the artists that need to be paid. We know you're not going to do it. We know that they're just going to pocket it for themselves. So, I'm sorry. They don't earn my sympathy for that. Would the potential
No.
removal of the 30% tax help? Yeah, it would. But I know quite well
Spotify is
you're
going
not
to use
do
it to spend out, blow through.
Especially like with what app, not even outside of artists. You remember the car thing incident?
Oh, yes.
If you're even willing to treat your customers that way, then no, I'm sorry. You haven't earned my sympathy. And if this is the case, then
and furthermore,
you still need to abide by the rules Apple has, along with Google.
Yes, Apple has the power to kick Spotify. You realize that Apple has the power to kick Spotify off the App Store.
Yeah, while they haven't done anything
They
malicious
have the power
in terms
to
of
do
their
that.
app, all the malices are
Apple,
happening in the corporate side, not the application side. That's why they're still on the App Store.
Yeah. But they should. But like one example that just goes to show you how bad Spotify is that in 2014, Taylor Swift took all her music off of Spotify. That was at the peak of her career, mind you.
I would have done the same.
And then and she took it off for 3 years.
I don't think I'd ever bring mine back because, like, if Spotify's bad at paying larger artists, I'm a smaller one. Albeit I haven't published any music yet because I'm still dealing with copyright stuff. But I know when I eventually start uploading music for everyone to listen to, I'm not going to do it to Spotify.
No. Like, this podcast is technically available on Spotify, but Spotify is not responsible for paying us,
Nope.
so... That's one of the reasons why we don't... That's why we don't use... That's why, even though Tabby's tried to get us to use Anchor... But that's why we refuse to use Spotify's Anchor for our podcast.
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
And another thing too that drives me nuts about Spotify is that this is again a much more subjective thing, but back in 2018, 2019, I used to think my mom had a better taste in music than my dad. And my mom at the time just bought her music off of iTunes, and my dad my dad did start using Spotify in 2018, but I used to think my mom had a better taste in music. However, now my mom has Spotify. It's like everything my mom listens to now is for the most part complete garbage.
Well, that's it.
And even though my dad uses Spotify,
it's not just a problem with taste in music. It's just
like
a lot of the music industry
because
today
Spotify
has gone
recommends
to all
crap.
of this popular. What I mean by popular is like pop music, everything digital and electronic crap. It's like, no, there's nothing authentic in most music nowadays. It's hard to listen to a lot of modern day music. My general favorite 2 decades of music, I'll say, is between the year 2000 and just before 2020.
I would say the best. I would say the music. I would say the music industry. Again, this depends on which genre of music, but I would say. I would say the best decades of music were. For rock music, I would say this. Well, the 60s had some good. I would say the rock music from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and then 2000s were the best decades of rock music. Country, I think that's obvious. 90s.
I don't know. I like slightly more modern country, but that's just me.
I like some modern country music, but not that. But to me, a lot of modern country music, especially the pop country music, it just all sounds the same.
The pop stuff is complete trash, though.
Yeah, like what? Yeah, I like some of Chris Stapleton's music.
Yeah, Chris Stapleton. Oh, he's one of the. He's a bit of a blend between country and rock in some instances, like his. What song is that? Midnight Train to Memphis. That's one. That played on our local rock station when that was one of his latest hits. Funny enough, despite it's a country song, my dad hates country, but he loves Midnight Train to Memphis. He turns the radio up when that comes on. I'm like, Dad, it's technically a country song.
Yeah, Midnight. I've never listened to that, but I really should. And there's other good.
I made a parody of it for class once. Actually, one of our projects was, well, for extra credit, we had to come up with a song or something, and so I brought my guitar in that day, and I just played a parody of Midnight Train to Memphis.
What'd you call it?
This was about the Civil War, so I made a parody of that and called it Midnight Train to Dixie.
Oh, that actually sounds like it could be a real country song. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. I lost the words to it, so I have no idea how to play it if I tried to.
Probably shouldn't sing it anyway because because YouTube would probably blacklist us.
Yeah, I mean it's about the Civil War, so. But
yeah, but I mean like Dixie, like that side, YouTube would probably censor that.
Yeah, I understand why, because it's bringing back up the whole Confederate stuff and such, but.
Yeah. Although, have you ever heard of the country band Confederate Railroad?
Nope.
That was a country band that was kind of popular around the turn of the millennium. But yes, that's a real country band.
Explains why I probably never heard of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me though, my favorite music from a country perspective, I cannot get enough of Rascal Flatts. Cannot get enough.
I haven't really listened to much of their music.
Oh, I cannot get enough of them. In fact, that reminds me, their concerts. They're performing in Green Bay, which is 3 hours away from here this weekend.
Are you going?
I wish, but I can't. I just don't have the cash.
That's too.
I mean, let me go to their webpage and see how much tickets are. In the meantime, we can move on to our next topic.
All right, so Nomad has launched a $100 USB-C cable that can also charge Apple Watches.
How?
$100? Really?
Nope, I need Green Bay.
$100 is a little bit much for a USB-C cable, but
I mean, I've known of other brands that charge that much for Thunderbolt cables. See tickets.
But that's because they're high spec.
Yeah. Huh? Oh, wrong weekend. February 28th. Oh, that's a Friday. Shoot, I'm still going to be at work. Oh, wait, 7? So I'd have to get out of work early. $126. What?
Aren't there like additional fees?
Oh yeah, there probably are.
Aren't there additional fees?
That's cheaper than the previous tickets I've been seeing from... Oh, but that's because it was Ticketmaster and they charge a crap for their tickets. Yeah.
Yeah.
$126, $129? I don't know. Depending on the fees related to this, I'd love to go. It's always been on my bucket list to see Rascal Flatts live. And I thought 4 or 5 years ago I lost that opportunity when it was reported they had split up. So
you should go.
I'd love to. I really would. Oh, would I love to go to Green Bay and watch them at. Again, it's a 3-hour drive. I don't mind the driving at all. But oh, what I would love to go to a Rascal Flatts concert.
I haven't listened to much of their music, but I mean if you really like that band, I get it.
I mean, I sing tenor, and so does basically the entire group, if I'm being honest. So, it's a big reason why I'm a huge fan of their group. Like, they sing an octave higher what you expect guys to normally sing. So, like, you've heard of their "Life Is a Highway" song, right? Same.
That was actually technically by Tom Cochran originally, I think, and I've heard of the original version.
True, but have you watched the Cars movie?
Yes, I heard their cover on the Cars movie.
The version of "Life Is a Highway" in the Cars movie is the Rascal Flatts version.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's a song they're pretty well known for. There's a few other songs that they've had great hits on, like "I Like the Sound of That." That's another very popular one of theirs.
Oh, I might actually have to look that one up.
"Yours If You Want It" is another popular one. My personal alarm clock song is Rascal Flatts. Feels Like Today.
I'm gonna listen to that. I Like the Sound of That right now.
All right, let me know what you think.
Sounds kind of interesting. That's why I keep listening to it.
It's technically a country song. It's not traditional country like what most people are thinking, but it's like one of their greatest hits of all time. I can't tell you how many times I've heard it on the radio. Back when I used to listen to like actual FM radio. That was actually a reason why I got my iPod Nano. It's because I wanted a new MP3 player with a touchscreen and a built-in FM radio. And the iPod Nano had it.
Well, I've listened to like a minute and 11 seconds of it, and I have to say, like, to me, it's still it's still kind of typical country to me, but it's still, but it's better than a lot of the other stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of like it. I definitely do like the sound of it, but I guess in other like country music, I tried listening to the Zach Brown band on one.
Oh, they're a good one too.
iPods.
Usually I play them when I'm looking for beach music.
Like on this iPod, I tried listening to the Zach Brown band, but it's just way too slow paced for me.
For me, they make awesome beach music.
I'm too depressed. To me, beach music is more like rock music to me, but I guess that's just our personal preferences.
Well, I get like Florida beach vibes, or like maybe even further south than that.
I mean, it depends. I mean, it kind of does depend. Like, like Jimmy Buffett's music definitely gives me Florida beach vibes.
So,
I don't know if you ever listened to Jimmy Buffett.
A couple of times I have. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, his music was really good.
So, anywho, we got some more topics to talk about, so we should probably get off of the music thing.
All right, so Ayana is officially open for business.
Woohoo! What took them so long? I'll admit I was
It didn't actually take that.
I was skeptical at first throughout 2024 because they basically were radio silent on how they're handling things for like the past year.
Oh yeah, but I mean, they're open now, so.
And from the sounds of it, I mean, I now have super high expectations. Everyone else does, and at least from what we can tell, the company very much well understands everyone is holding them to extremely high expectations, and they welcome that pressure. To my surprise, they understand that, yeah, America needs a better charging infrastructure. What we have today is not good. Tesla's pretty much the only network you can rely on, and that's bad. So, yeah, it's good that they're open for business. They're scaling at a much more rapid rate than I was expecting. Like, they opened their first 4 locations right before New Year's. So they had Apex. There's 2 sites in Ohio that were open at the same time, along with a site in Scranton, Pennsylvania, I believe. And just in January, they've opened up 3 more sites. One in Kansas, another in Texas, and I believe they're almost done with another one in Colorado.
Not bad.
And this is despite that, again, more political news I hate discussing. My goodness. NEVI is basically on hold right now, which is, NEVI stands for National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure. That funding's been on hold.
But to be honest, I don't even think they need it.
I mean, Ayana, first of all, Ayana didn't even factor NEVI into their plans at all. And what I mean by that is, all of their funding and such, they never decided, let's rely on NEVI for this. I mean, they said that if they can take advantage of it, sure, they're open to taking advantage of it if they can. But it's not in their fundamental plans in terms of scaling up, which means despite that NEVI is on hold right now and it has the potential of completely going away with the Trump administration, Ayana's prepared for it.
That's exactly how you run a good business, is to be prepared for stuff like that.
Yeah. And the only thing that I've learned as if NEVI is disappearing, a big thing that NEVI was going to focus on is for areas like mine, where the amount of electric vehicles in Houghton, Michigan, this is I'll be honest, the political scape here is mostly red, and as we know, I hate this just as much as the average EV enthusiast, but the political party that tends to like electric vehicles more is blue, which means you'd think in a mostly red section of Michigan, which most of Michigan is actually red, the biggest blue sections are Lansing and Detroit, along with a few other bigger cities.
Makes sense.
And like the only blue section you'll find in Michigan's Upper Peninsula is Marquette. That's it. Everywhere else is red. So you think this general area being mostly red and conservative, I spot at every drive I take, I spot at least one electric vehicle. It doesn't have to be a Tesla, though I do see a lot of Teslas up here. I also regularly spot Volkswagen ID4s. There's a Kia EV6 around here. I see 2 different Chevy Equinoxes all the time. And I'm referring to the EV versions of those, because Chevy's still selling a gas version of the Equinox. Occasionally...
Yeah, I mean, EVs have really...
Yeah, occasionally I spot Ford F-150 Lightnings, which I have no idea how they sold up here, because my local Ford dealer has charged outrageous prices for them. Absolutely outrageous. It took over a year for them just to get one of their Lightnings off of the lot. Over a year. That's how bad the pricing was for it. But despite living in a mostly conservative area, the amount of EVs here are surprisingly common.
Yeah, I live in a very conservative area, which I know it's a big shock that I live in a conservative area.
Most of the Southeast is
well,
considered conservative, so yeah, it shouldn't be a big shock.
Yeah. Except for, like, the big cities, but yeah,
well, yeah, of course.
Yeah, most of the Southeast, except for the part by DC, and then by the part of Virginia by DC, and then for South Florida, because there's so many old people that from up north that moved down there. Most of that, as a result, most of the South is actually red.
Yeah. But
so as a result, I don't see that many. So as a result, it's not like I don't necessarily see that many EVs around here, around my area, which actually surprises me. But yeah, I do still see some though.
Yeah. Though again, I'm surprised that I see as many as we do, despite being in such a conservative area. But a big thing that annoys me to no end is, especially during the summer months, we get a lot of tourists up here, and our charging infrastructure is so lacking. I have often seen our charge point station full. There's only 2 stalls at the station, and then you can go across the canal to Hancock, and there's one more there. But basically, there's only capacity for 3 vehicles and at very slow speeds. And especially during the summer, the amount of Rivians that come up here, the amount of other Teslas, and oh my gosh, I don't understand why I also see BZ4Xs and Solterras. Oh, those are terrible cars to road trip.
Who makes the Solterra?
Subaru.
Oh.
Yeah, it's the Subaru version of the BZ4X, and we all know how bad the BZ4X is. And just, yeah, I have no clue how they manage touring around up here in electric vehicles, because UP Michigan is really sparse on charging infrastructure. Like, you got the 3 Tesla superchargers in Escanaba, Sault Ste. Marie, and Marquette. But anywhere outside of there, there's no hotels with overnight charging, so I guess you better hope that you can find an outlet somewhere. Or just, again, there's the few DC slow chargers that we have, but this was something that Nevi was supposed to help with. Getting charging in areas that you typically wouldn't find chargers, and it's because, well, like in your area, for example, a common reason why people don't buy EVs is because they don't think the infrastructure is good enough. And, well, yeah, some people might beg to differ depending on where you live, but while it's definitely plentiful in cities and corridor areas, and the only reasons why it's being overrun right now is because not enough people are charging at home like they should, but it's plentiful in the most popular areas, especially in cities and corridors. But what about non-obvious corridor routes like that take you up to Houghton or across the UP?
Yeah, I know. But even I live in a corridor area, mind you. Yeah, mind you, and there were 2 EV chargers in my city. They both closed.
Yeah, that's another problem. And that's a big thing that prevents a lot of people from buying the electric car. And I understand. You need to be able to take your car anywhere and everywhere. And if this is a problem, then I can totally understand why you don't want to get in right now. So this was something that Nevi was supposed to help with. But so that's the only thing that irks me about it going away, because it was supposed to help with this issue. But
Yeah, I mean, let me actually go up to the map to see where they go, where they are in my area.
it's a problem.
But yeah, there's a few. Okay, no, actually, I have to drive. My closest public superchargers are like 30 minutes away.
Wow. And what about just DC charger in general, aside from superchargers?
I don't even want to get. I don't even want. I'm sure it's probably the same. I think it's the same distance.
I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, because it's either in one. Yeah, because it's either in one air. Yeah, because it's either in one air. Yeah, because they. And of course, 30 minutes. Never mind. I'm not going to get into the specifics of where I live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a problem, especially when you have outsiders who come that need to charge. I mean, luckily the people in Houghton, they know to charge at home, and it's really easy to because,
Yeah.
come to think of it, the only apartment complexes that I know of are retirement homes. So,
There's some more apartment complexes in my city, but they don't even have public EV chargers.
so yeah, for the most part, yeah, the only apartment complexes that I know of are retirement homes. So that means most likely the people who own an electric car in this area, they have a garage that they can charge their vehicle in, which, hey, again, that's what you should be doing. But no, but the problem is when tourist season comes, that station's always full, and we're underserved.
Yeah.
So that's what Nevi was supposed to help with. I'm kind of hoping that Iona eventually branches off of the main corridor networks. I mean, I know they're going to focus there first because aside from Tesla, there really is no proper reliable network along the corridors right now. So I wouldn't be shocked if they're going to focus there first. But then once they're done, I really hope they branch off far from them and get to less common areas like here in Houghton.
Yeah, because what drives me nuts here about is that when I grow up, I know I'm going to have to live. I know I want to live near an interstate, and that's just because living in. I don't necessarily want to live in a big city, but I want to live near a corridor area, so that way if I want to go somewhere else for something like, I don't know, to an Apple store, because yeah,
that's infuriating. I mean, I learned.
Or else, you know,
want to
anywhere
live
else in
closer to an
America.
interstate? Dude, imagine my situation. I'm 3 hours from the closest one.
I mean, I live right by. I live not far from one now, but
It's still.
so I'm good.
Yeah.
But yeah, imagine again. Again, under the Magra interstate system, there would be an interstate running through Houghton.
I mean, I don't know if we have at least a U.S. highway, maybe not necessarily interstate. I mean, U.S. 41 is technically a U.S. highway, but I don't. We need higher speed limits and certain sections to properly be a divided highway.
Yeah, I would say yeah, my idea to bring an interstate into your area is to extend I-65 north into Chicago and then have it signed along I-41 up to Wisconsin, and then have it for the most part parallel US 41 all the way to Copper Harbor.
I just say bring I-41 all the way up to the rest of. You know, I'd say bring I-41 all the way into Houghton, or maybe up to Calumet at the furthest.
The reason why I'm not doing that under the Magra interstate system is because I-65 would go directly through Chicago. My plan is to realign I-55 to take over all of I-39 and keep following US 51 up until its end. So therefore, because of the interstate highway system grid, I-40. I do have plans for an I-41, but it's a lot further west.
So how would you handle going east and west through the UP then?
So I have an idea for that, which is for an interstate that would likely be called I-98. And my idea for I-98 would be to go start a brand, would be for the most part to follow US 2 from I-75 all the way to Montana, I-15 in Montana, or else maybe have it go slightly down a little bit in Montana to meet I-15 at Great Falls. But yeah, that is my idea, because like that whole stretch of the United States is basically for the most part not connected,
Pretty much.
except by north to south interstates.
Yeah, dude, it takes forever to get across the UP east to west. It's like, if you only travel during daylight hours, you're spending half of the day just getting across the UP. Not many people understand
And of
how
course
long it actually takes, but because of our slow speed limits and lack of freeways up here, it takes forever to get across.
And imagine if I-65 and I-98 in the Magnet interstate system. Imagine if they actually got built. Imagine how much quicker it would be to get through Michigan.
Oh, we'd probably be able to shave no less than an hour off of our travel time.
Because of course Michigan would probably have to post those at 75 miles an hour.
Yeah, especially considering how rural this area is, it makes sense.
And not only that, but it would make MIT a lot more of a valuable college to possibly get Michigan Tech, excuse me.
It's
MIT's
MTU.
Massachusetts.
That's the abbreviation.
MTU, yeah. Yeah, MTU, MTU could actually get good professors maybe if there's an actual interstate that connects to Houghton.
I cannot believe how crazy some students are to come up to this area for college.
Yeah,
Especially
I'm never going to go.
Especially when
I'm never going to live in the.
When I drive through campus on the occasion, it's obviously freezing cold right now. It's 10 degrees outside. I still see college kids in shorts and sandals.
How?
They're not from
Are
here.
they from the north?
And they don't dress appropriately.
Are they from Antarctica?
I'm not sure.
Because in my area, literally everybody. Because in my area, a lot of kids wear hoodies year round, and sweatpants sometimes year round.
No, a lot of them come here not expecting how our winters get, and they find out the hard way.
If I was coming up to the UP in the winter, I would have a big puffy coat.
Ugh.
And of course, and I would probably have to get boots for the snow.
Yeah, you're definitely going to want boots.
Yeah.
Definitely going to want boots. I always wear boots in the winter. So. Anywho.
Yeah, because I don't even,
what's...
Shall we move on to our final... Shall we move on, however... Shall we move on to our final topic? Because we can't talk about Tabby's car because he's not here.
Yeah. The other thing I have to mention on that is I really hope he parks that in the garage for a while or just gets it out of town, because I have a bad feeling that there's a group of people still actively trying to steal the car.
Well, I mean, it makes sense because it's a valuable Audi Q5.
Yeah. So, yeah, I hope he parks it for a while, because I have a bad feeling that there's a group of people. To sum it up, at first it started with somebody keying his car. Then he was chased in a parking garage. Eventually it got dinged. I don't know if that's related or not, but...
Yes, or no, somebody dinged it. I think that's related.
So, yeah, if that happens, park it in a garage. Do not let it be visible from the street. It's either that or get it out of town. But, no, I have a bad feeling somebody's actively trying to steal his car. Be a lot harder to do if it was a Tesla, because for one, there's Sentry mode, so you have the ability to record everything that happens. And then, two, well, I'm surprised there are still so many people that can't figure out the door handles on those cars, despite that opening them is literally everywhere on the internet. You'd think it'd be easy. And then three, I've learned if you use the pin to drive function, while one might think, oh, just look at the fingerprints on the screen to find the code, I've learned that Tesla accounted for this and they moved the pin pad to different portions of the screen so you can't figure out the pin code. It's smart.
So basically, how does this pin to drive function work? Like you have to place your pin in every time before you drive.
I don't think every time, but it's like after an extended period of time of the car not being in use, you then need to enter a pin. You need to enter a pin to start the car. But
that's pretty clever.
Yeah, it's genius tech that Tesla thought of that makes the car even harder to steal. So yeah, even if the thief manages to steal your phone, well, it's not going to do them much good if they can't figure out how to enter the pin. So.
Well, I actually have, but one thing that I actually learned from watching a YouTube video by Theo Joe is that a lot of times thieves will actually look for your passcodes because you can use passcodes to reset Apple IDs.
It's true. But it's not related to the car. The car is its own separate thing.
Yeah. Or you mentioned phones, so yeah.
So, anywho, I guess there's a rumor you have on the list.
One rumor, which is that Sonos is rumored to release a $200 to $400 Android streaming box.
More details, please.
So basically, you know streaming boxes like Apple TVs?
Okay.
Sonos is rumored to release their own version of that for Android. That, mind you, the Android boxes are pretty common. That will cost between $200 and $400.
I don't understand why so many companies are still making the box thing. Because at this point, come on, let's be real here. How do you not buy a smart TV? Even the cheapest TV you can buy at Walmart. It has either Roku or Fire TV or something on it.
What drives me nuts, too, is that a lot of times Fire TVs, smart TVs in general just have slow computer components. And that drives me nuts, too, because why can't they get good CPUs and whatnot in smart TVs?
I mean, the CPU mostly doesn't matter because the amount of time you're going to spend selecting the content you're going to display on it versus the time the content is displaying, the ratio is leaning so heavily toward one, and we probably know which one it is, that honestly, does it really matter that much?
I mean, I know it doesn't matter that much, but still, it drives me nuts how smart TVs just in general don't have necessarily the best software.
Yeah, the software is what I'll complain about more. I don't really care about the hardware or the performance of the CPU and all that. The only time where it would matter most is if you're gaming, but again, most of the time, if you're gaming on the TV, you're plugging in like a PlayStation or a Wii or something.
Although, why don't they just build a dedicated gaming TV like that? That's also a console.
I assume because it has something to do with the way that consoles work. How they can become outdated so quickly, and that would just diminish the value of the product so much. I think it would scare people away from that type of concept.
So, yeah, I can see that,
but yeah, as a content displaying machine, it really doesn't need that much performance. And the only scenario where you need more performance is like you're buying a PlayStation. You're buying a Nintendo Switch docking station. Or maybe you're one of those people that plugs in a gaming PC into it.
Exactly.
So you don't need that much performance for a TV in the first place.
That's true.
Yeah, what we do need is better software. No joke. We do need better software.
Yeah, we definitely need
That's
that.
why I got the Apple TV.
Like, we need software that doesn't have ads.
Yes, that's why I got the Apple TV. Even though I currently have it plugged into one of my monitors and not the actual TV in the living room. Well, that's because I don't own my own personal TV just yet. But yeah, the software needs to be better on that. So I'm really confused as of why we're still living in the dated age of needing a hub for everything, especially when a lot of our TVs have built-in software these days. And I still argue Apple is missing out on the space. And while everyone will say, it'll be super expensive, no one's going to buy it. Well, how do we have people with 8K TVs and 98-inch screens and such? Those aren't cheap, by the way.
I know they aren't cheap.
That, and I'm positive somebody, especially if you're in the Apple ecosystem, I know plenty of people who would probably rather an actual TV with tvOS versus buying the box and having that. Well, buying a TV with software already. A big reason why so many people don't buy the Apple TV is because, well, the software that's built into TVs today, it technically functions. Is it ad-ridden? Yes, but it's not worth adding a box that will do basically the same thing the OS that's built in on the TV does. So, yeah, the box thing is hard to justify for so many people, but no, if Apple were to build an actual TV with tvOS running on it and have it support various inputs so you can play with a PlayStation or Xbox or whatever gaming console you're into, or if you still use a DVD/Blu-ray player like we do, I would buy it. I totally would.
So would
if I had this cool thing called cash, because I don't.
Yeah. I don't really watch TV very much, so I don't even know if I would buy that kind of thing, but we are out of time.
We are. This is probably going to be one of our most controversial episodes.
It truly will be.
Too much politics. I really hope we can have less politics in the next episode.
Well, you never know. Maybe we'll have more, maybe we'll have less.
Yeah, I want to be done with it. I've dealt with it too much for the past 4 years. I'm ready to be done. I'm ready to move on. And I wish everybody else was.
Alright, well, as always, thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the iTunes Fan Podcast. As always, I'm Teddy Magger from the iTunes Fanboy.
My name is Alpha DeWolf from the Random Alpha.
And as always, we are reminding you not to use your artificial intelligence.
Yes.
And as always, peace out. And thank you all for tuning in.